That sounds good.
Okay. Hey, music
I
lovers. My
guess
name
you
is Skye Sainer. I'm so excited to have you guys with me today, and I'm joined with Fil Pate. I'm so excited for you guys to get to know him, to learn about his music, and even see him at Gasperilla Music Fest this week. Uh, Thanks, Phil, for coming on. Of
I appreciate it. Thank you.
course. I guess just to start off, how did your passion for music start, and what's your first memory of wanting to pursue it as a career?
Well, honestly, I was surrounded a little bit, but at a young age, I guess, at church, and I would sing. But even in kindergarten, they would bring in a music program in my school that was a band, and it was bluegrass at the time. So they would bring a bluegrass band in. We'd all sit down in the class, and that was pretty inspiring. I was like, wow, that's really fun, and they would get us all to sing along. But I just kind of took it from there, and being surrounded by bluegrass in the mountains. I'm from Asheville in North Georgia. I sort of rebelled against it, and so I went at first, and I went into the blues and started playing rock and roll, because
Nice.
well, I heard bluegrass everywhere, so I wanted to play something else. But then after I spent a long time playing rock and roll and blues, I came back to bluegrass and did a huge study in that, and then I've learned jazz and everything since then. So I've just kept it going. But I guess whenever I first started playing, I imagined doing it for people, so that would have meant making a living out of it. But so that would have been about 14 years old when I really started to play it up in high school. And there was again that same music program, and they had instruments for us there. So I was lucky to be surrounded by instruments, even though I didn't have a guitar myself. There were plenty hanging on the wall to mess around with. So that was very inspiring. Just having that program at school. It was called Foxfire.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah,
Um, do you remember any bands or artists that like you first started getting into around that age that really inspired you?
yeah. Derek Trucks would be my number one. Really, he's only a few years younger than I am, maybe a couple. And I started seeing him at a very young age, and he was very impressive. And he plays today with his wife Susan Tedeschi in the Tedeschi Trucks band. But for years, when I saw him, he had his own band, the Derek Trucks band, and he played a lot of the stuff that I like to hear, which was a blend between kind of rock and jazz and fusion. And he sort of pointed me in the direction of all the horn players, which I like to listen to horns and play horn music, even though I play stringed instruments, guitar and mandolin.
Hmm.
I try to play horn lines and things. And Derek is one of the first persons to point that out for me, and recommend that I go listen to maybe John Coltrane or something like that. So he's been very inspiring.
Does anybody else in your family have the same passion for music as you do, or were you the first one to really go after it?
I was the first one to go after it. A lot of my friends and colleagues and people I study with, they come from musical families, and I feel like that's a great help. That would have been nice, but my family was in that program at school, really the musical family. So around the house we didn't really play music together and everything, but we all enjoyed listening to it. That's for sure,
Cool.
and going to see concerts. But my grandfather played a little bit, but it sort of skipped a generation for me. Like my parents didn't play. I didn't have uncles or anything that were around jamming. So yeah, it was just me deciding to do it and going after it.
Nice. Now I feel like every artist or every band has a sort of message that they want to send out to an audience. What would you describe your message being?
Well, I feel like the messages differ. As you go along, you try to spread good messages of the times. And Mine, I'm not. I've worked with a lot of singers, but what I primarily do is instrumental music. So, kind of my message is, to slow down and listen to more instrumental music, whether that be like classical music or a band in the pop world like Krungbin, who is all instrumental. You don't have vocalists on every one of their records, but I feel like my pursuit and message has been just to you know, keep it to where you don't have to have vocals to be entertained, with music all the time, Um, and so I guess so that kind of means a lot of things. It means just kind of slow down a little bit and take in the moment and listen to the moment and something creative, because I play music which I think is fresh to people's ears a lot of times. Um, in addition to like going to play bars and things where you play comfortable music for people, like familiar covers and things like that. But what I really prefer to do is bring like a fresh look through the music into the listener's ears, so they can hear something and take away something maybe they've never heard before. So
Hmm.
that's kind of my mission, is just have folks sit and listen with a little more intent, in the moment.
Awesome. And are there any current projects that you're working on right now that listeners should be aware of and want to look out for?
Well, this week, we've got the Gasperilla Music Festival, and I get to play that Saturday, 3:30 on the row house stage. And that project is just myself with a looper pedal, and I play an acoustic guitar, a mandolin, and a bass, and I mix all of that together into an instrumental sound. And that is one project that I've been doing a lot around the Bay, New World Brewery, Jackson's Bistro. I play a lot of the places with my looper, and it's fun. I play a brunch every Sunday in Dunedin. That's at Cara Cara restaurant. But I also have two other bands. I have a bluegrass band, a trio that plays a lot at Crooked Thumb Brewing and Safety Harbor, and we focus on preserving the bluegrass sounds. And I play mandolin mostly in that, but also a little guitar. And then we've got a lot of dates coming up. Crooked Thumb and Cage Brewing on February 24th. And I play at the Ale and the Witch a lot, which is where we're going tonight. And I host a weekly bluegrass jam here. It's an open bluegrass jam. So a lot of times we'll have 15 to 20 players out here, just sharing in the music and bringing their tunes. So that's every Wednesday, the Ale and the Witch. But my final project that I'm working on is where I play electric guitar, and it's more of my jazz project. And I play with a great organ player and a drummer. And we have shows coming up. Our next show will be at Shuffle on March 2nd.
Nice. Um, I'm sorry. Do you have any advice for anybody that's up and coming that wants to pursue music too? Like, do you have any advice for them and how to push through like any nerves that they have or just starting out, anything like that?
Yeah, advice I wish I had maybe when I started. um, Gosh, it's hard to keep going without getting discouraged from time to time. But I say just push on through by doing what you do well. Just practice your craft and bring a good quality to the table anytime you're there. And as far as music to pursue, you've got being a cover musician, giving people comfy music, and you might get a different audience there than you would have if you were pursuing your own original craft and you wanted to write your own original music and put out your own CDs. What I try to do is both. I think you should mix both together. But my advice is to know about that, and not all original music is going to go over when people are expecting to hear something comfortable that they've heard before.
Mhm.
And that took me a while to learn, actually, because we might get discouraged if we play an original song for an audience that was expecting maybe an upbeat cover so they could dance, perhaps. So there's that part of it. Just kind of know where you fit in, and
Mhm.
go for it.
Cool.
Yeah, just go for it. That's
Yeah,
my
awesome.
slogan, maybe.
So just two more questions before we wrap up. Is there anything that you do pre-performance to like shake out the nerves or just like any like pre-performance rituals that you like always do before you go on?
Uh, you know, I try to tune my instrument and just get to know it at the moment for a little bit, which is just kind of go through it, feel the instrument. But really, no, just kind of breathe and center yourself on all of the songs you have to do. Usually, there's a lot of memorization, so it's nice to sort of mentally go through the set list. And I usually prepare a set list before the shows so you can see in the flow and kind of know what's coming up, or at least we do, not the audience. But so I just mentally prepare a little bit on what I've had to memorize for that particular show,
Mhm.
and so try to stay in the moment with that. Um, you're only at that show. So it's good to block out pretty much anything else that's not that show.
Nice. And then just to close out, I know you said that you mostly do instrumental music, but if you could
Mhm.
cover any song by any band or artist, what would it be and why?
Aha, cover music. See, I do a lot of cover music here and there, even instrumental. Um, wow, one. Well, if it's hard to say because some I choose because I maybe I can make the melody instrumental, like I can play the vocal line on the guitar,
Hmm.
and that's why I choose certain covers. Um, but gosh, there's the one song that I just really like the lyrics of, and it's a song by Roy Hargrove, and he is a trumpeter that passed away a little too soon, but he had a band called the RH Factor, and they have a cool song which is really just more or less a poem uh, over a really cool beat and great improvisation, but it's called Crazy Race. And the lyrics are just really positive in that one. The poem is just about getting up and showing the world what you got, and the time is now. And what are you waiting for? So if you spread that to some listeners, put that on a playlist, Crazy Race, and I think you'll be bobbing your head by the time you get to the end of it. But I'd also love the horns in there, and that's a trumpeter. So really, I found that through all the jazz playing that I've studied and everything, I've sort of moved toward trumpet players. So that's another reason I would choose this song because it's written by a trumpeter.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know that you have a really busy schedule going on, and I really appreciate you speaking with me today.
Well, I appreciate you asking great questions. It's a pleasure to stand and talk to you here in the city.
Thank you. It was my first time like ever interviewing anybody, so I was a little bit nervous. So thank you for
uh,
just bearing with me.
well, you did great.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you being interested, and hopefully some folks get some inspiration.
Yeah, hope so too. Thank you.
You're welcome.